Spaulding, Cape Cod. Clearly with the amount of navy blue in here, a lot of you know as well. My name is Colleen McCauley. I am a physical therapist upstairs on our inpatient unit, and I also work with our Patient Family Advisory Council, which has brought you guys this wonderful presentation today. So our goal today is to really highlight how the pediatric rehab or habilitation process is truly unique, and the experiences of families can be so different compared to somebody, say, being 75 years old and having a stroke on our inpatient unit. It's still a very difficult and challenging process, but from the pediatric perspective, it's just really different. A lot of life roles are different at that time with those age groups. So we're really excited today to be able to share the stories from some of our pediatric patients. So with no further ado, I'd like to have Cheryl get right up here and get us rolling.
Okay. I'm so thrilled to introduce our Pediatric Center and to share with you all the services that we've had since 2005. And to share with you, really the celebrities are the families that come week after week after week, and how they are very determined, very courageous, very inspiring. And what I would like to share with you too is about that we would not have this center without Eileen and Frank Ward. So we need the first slide. Okay, so just to give a quick background, we'd like to thank Eileen and Frank Ward for making a sizable donation to make a freestanding pediatric rehabilitation center. For those of you who don't know, we have occupational therapy, physical therapy, equipment clinic, speech-language therapy, and assisted communication, which is communication with devices, icons, sign language, and computers. And we have social work with case management, which is great for resources and emotional support. We have a feeding and nutrition program with a dietitian and a team for feeding and swallowing. And we have consulting physicians. Out there on the table, you'll find lists of some of the services that we have. You may be surprised that we have consulting physicians from Mass General that include nephrology, which is a kidney physician. We have endocrinology, gastroenterology, nutrition. We have neurology, and I would like to put a shout out right now to Dr. Gascon, who's been with us for many years. Neurologist who has passed the torch on, and we will still have those services, and we thank you very much for everything you did for our patients. We have pulmonology and neuropsychology as well. What I would like to do is tell you that we as a team, there's about, I would say, we have 25 therapists right now, 20 to 25 therapists, but this is just what goes into one family. We have the children in the family, the siblings are in tow, the grandparents, the great-grandparents, the parents. We have nurses from the home, our therapists, physicians from around the community and in Boston, our wonderful rehabilitation aides that support us. We have our equipment vendors for wheelchairs, communication devices, and other equipment that the children might need to meet their needs. Office coordinators who listen to all the stories, try to coordinate multidisciplinary cases with occupational therapy, speech, and brace clinic, and physical therapy, and our scheduling team, which backs that up. And also we have to have somebody help us pay for it all, so we have an insurance team. So I just wanted to let you know that it's not a small job for each family. There's just a lot that goes into it. So we know, because we love children, and that this is what we dedicate our lives to do, we know that children are miraculous. And we would like you to understand our passion for working with kids. And we hope you enjoy these 3 wonderful stories. And from the Spaulding Rehabilitation of Cape Cod and the Eileen Ward Center for Children. So the first one is Christopher. And Christopher is in the audience today. He is 17 years old. He was born in August 2000. And he was born very early. He and his brother are twins, and they suffered a twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, which will be explained to you in a little bit in a little video that we have. And they were actually the first in New England to receive a laser correction that went very, very well, and we're here to tell the wonderful story about them. So we're going to roll a clip. Yes, it is.
Marjorie Campbell of Mashpee holds both of her twins, Alexander and Christopher, for the very first time.
It was a great feeling to be able to hold them again and have them both at the same time, and know that they're both doing fine, and I'll be able to take them home.
Before they were born, the boys suffered from a rare and potentially deadly complication called twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. One of the twins was getting too much blood, while the other one wasn't getting enough.
There's a high likelihood that one or both fetuses, if not treated, will not survive.
So Marjorie decided to undergo a new experimental laser surgery at a Rhode Island hospital in June. Doctors inserted a tiny telescope called a laparoscope into Marjorie's womb and used lasers to shut off the blood vessels that were causing the complication. Even though they'd tried the operation once before, Marjorie's was the first in which both twins survived.
To see both twins in this case really suffer from the syndrome and being able to get improvement and to essentially to save both fetuses, that's extremely gratifying.
Doctors believe this new groundbreaking surgery could be used to help correct other fetal complications in the future. Marjorie says it's a miracle that doctors were able to save both of her twins.
It's a huge deal to have both of these babies come through after all that they've been through. So I'm really lucky to have them.
Alexander and Christopher were born 3 months premature and are still in the neonatal intensive care unit at a Providence hospital. But doctors say both are doing well and should be allowed to go home sometime next month. For Health Watch, I'm Dr. Malika Marshall, WBZ4 News.
Okay, so that was his start, and that's not unlike a lot of the kids that we see in our clinic. This is their family. They had quite a large family, so she had a lot of juggling to do and had to go to many, many different hospitals. You can go to the next slide. To get services for Christopher. So they had to endure separation. They traveled to Springfield, all over getting services, and then at one point Spaulding opened more and more programs that would support Christopher and his family. So this is Christopher and his big brother, and so they're all pulling for Christopher and Alex. And so he's really, really struggling right here and trying to get better, he and his brother. And so here they are as young toddlers, 2 peas in a pod, as Mama says. And here he is with some new equipment. I don't know if you can see, but he has his new prosthetic leg right here. And he's also using another tool. He's using a walker. And he's doing everything developmentally what he can do at the time with his brother. So he kept growing and getting bigger and bigger. And then along the years, he had many, many therapy appointments. At Spaulding, he had physical therapy, he had occupational therapy, he had orthopedics, and which he still does and is involved with Dr. Abramson here, is helping him as he grows. He's getting more sophisticated leg for himself, and so he can participate in adaptive sports. And now he's in the volunteer program with his brother when he's not working. He's very busy. This is a former orthotist who's making a leg for him here at Spaulding. And I love this picture because it shows how much he grew. It's like his first, he used to call it, Marjorie told me, he used to call it his robot leg. And he thought it was so cool, and he still thinks he said to me, I'll answer any questions anybody has because I'm sure they're curious. So I will turn it over to him shortly. So there he is, and it's the climb. He was unstoppable, did everything, kept up with his siblings, played tennis through adaptive sports, archery, kayaking with his brother Alex, which I have to just say also that Stephen and everyone in the adaptive sports world really let the whole family enjoy supporting him. And there they are with their bikes together. And some of the things through talking to Marjorie also works with us, and we're very lucky. She is a star rehabilitation aide, and through talking with her, these are some of the things that she said to me. So you can see that they are, and Christopher is grateful for making adaptive equipment and services close to the family's home, including family, and also to Steve, who I'm going to actually invite up just to say a couple words about adaptive sports. Come on up.
Hey everybody, my name is Steve Kassenbach. I'm a physical therapist upstairs in the inpatient unit, but I also run the adaptive sports program. What we've been talking about all evening is exactly what I do. So I'm here for the patient, I'm here for the family, and I'm here to get the family back together doing what they want to do. What we've done with Christopher, what we've done with us is, I mean, it personifies what we set out to do every day. From being in a kayak with your brother to playing wheelchair tennis. I mean, Christopher is kind of, he's what we want to, all of our athletes to aspire towards. He's not an adaptive athlete anymore, he's just an athlete. So, and that's what we...
And a cool kid.
Yeah. And that's what we aim for. A little aside, from the infancy of when Christopher started with adaptive sports, we now have what we call the McGraw Center for Adaptive Sports. So it's a brand new center down in Nickerson State Park. We're in collaboration with the Department of Conservation and Recreation. And it offers availability to not only the athlete, but the athlete and their family. We do cycling on the rail trail, we do kayaking at one of the ponds inside the park. We'll have archery in the near future. It's something where the entire family can get away, have fun as a family again. There's also yurts that are in the park itself, so you can have a camping adventure at the same time. So anytime you think that there's a barrier, there's not. And I want you to remember that we're all here to support the patient and the family.
Thank you.
See you guys around.
So there's information in the lobby about adaptive sports and what we offer at the center as well. So the next one is, okay, introducing Brody, that's you. So Brody is right here in the audience with his lovely family. He is 2.5 years old right now, and when he first came, he was 19 months and not walking. And his care team, I'd like to invite his, I would like to invite his care team to come up. So in physical therapy, I know that Samantha, yep, go ahead.
And Sally.
And Sally. So he received all of the services that we have to offer working on your team's going to be telling you right now. And I can just tell you that he worked on eating with me. He came and he was aspirating on thin liquids, which means it was going into his lungs. We worked really hard, and he learned how to drink very well and chew on his side teeth, and now he is growing very well and eating. Bye. So I'll turn it over to you.
Hi. Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm Brody's occupational therapist. So Brody has been working with us for about a year now, and when he first came in for occupational therapy, he was struggling a little bit with his ability to move, his ability to use his hands and his fine motor skills. When he was trying to self-feed, he was using an immature pattern and kind of using his whole hand to rake up foods. And he really had some difficulty, even with his awareness of sensory systems that were going on, things going on around him, his ability to be in places where there were loud noises going on. Family had difficulty going to parades or crowds where family gatherings were. He had difficulty allowing mom to vacuum the house and dad to mow the lawn because those loud sounds really frightened him. And so what we have been doing in occupational therapy is we have worked a lot using modalities such as weighted vests to give him tight squeezes to help him know where his body is in space. We've worked on helping his muscles grow strong so that he can sit and focus on working with his fingers and his hands. And you can see here, he's really doing a nice job putting pegs into very small particular pegboard, matching colors. He's able to sustain positions long enough to learn how to play and to play with some games and some age-appropriate things that he's been working so hard at. He's able to go to family gatherings and be able to withstand some of the noises that are going on around him without fear. And as you can see, being in this big group, he's doing awesome. So he's made some really nice gains in OT. So I just wanted to, I'll pass the torch over to Kathleen, who's his speech therapist.
Hi, I'm Kathleen. I'm Brody's speech therapist. So I just started working with Brody about 2 months ago, probably. So Brody has really great comprehension skills. He understands a lot of language. When you tell him to do something, he gets it. So what his areas of weakness are is that he has difficulty expressing himself. So both in the fact of labeling items and requesting things in multiple word phrases, and also actually saying those sounds. So we do a lot of touch cues to show him where his mouth goes and where his tongue goes and how to use it. And also pointing to objects and saying, like, I want to eat and I want to do different things, because it gives him so much more independence. So he's been doing really awesome lately, and I can't say enough about how wonderful his family is. I tell her to do things and she always does them. She's always asking me, how can I do this, how can I do this? And even his sister Felicity, she also came to a treatment session. She also always tries to help, and I'll be like, do this, and she'll do it always. And then Dad also, I'm sure, promotes Rob a lot, so yeah, he's doing great, and I'm so happy to have him.
Thank you.
Samantha.
Hi, I'm Samantha. This is Sally, the other physical therapist. Brody worked with Sally for a long time. I think I initially evaluated him, but Sally's worked with him a lot, and I've worked with him more recently over the summer. When Brody first came to physical therapy, he wasn't walking, as the picture said, at 19 months. That's considered developmentally delayed. As you just saw, he can walk, so we're doing a good job. That's, physical therapy, it's like, I want my kid to walk. Be careful what you wish for, because he now runs away and, climbs everywhere and does all these amazing, awesome things, climbing sticks. Yeah. We're working now on stairs and jumping. He does a lot of fun bowling. We lift up heavy balls. That gives a lot of strength. Yeah, we play bowling, Brody. Yeah. Like Lisa said, we also use compression vests and weighted vests, sometimes just for the strength. We have a little vest with pennies in them. That gives him the weight that he needs to go up and down the stairs to get stronger legs. Other times we use a compression vest to give him a better idea of where he is in space. If he doesn't know where he is in space, how is he going to know how high to lift his foot to go up the 3-inch, 5-inch, 8-inch curve? And we've been working on that. How does he know where he is so he won't fall over and trip over the benches or the balls or the ropes or the scooters or all the other fun toys we play with? As the other girl said, Karen and Joel have been a huge part of Brody's development, because if it wasn't for the families, he wouldn't have made the progress, and that's a huge asset. Again, it takes a team to help a child, because a little baby doesn't know the difference of what to do. It really comes at home. One session a week isn't going to make a big difference. It's what they do every day at home. So thank you, because you guys are the reason that Brody is, and Felicity, the amazing kids that they are today. So, I think that's all.
So Brody is 2.5 now. He started here probably around, I think, 16 or 17 months. We noticed he was having difficulty eating. He was choking on his bottles. He wasn't chewing. He had trouble. He wasn't walking. He was a late walker. And he also had trouble with loud noises. He couldn't listen to the vacuum or the lawnmower. We couldn't bring him to parades. He would just get really, really scared and upset. And he also obviously wasn't walking, so we needed help with that. And we needed help with feeding. And I had no clue that any of these services were here. But once we started on his PT, then we went to occupational therapy, and then we were recommended to go to feeding, and it's been such a great experience for us because as a team, they all support each other. The people who work here, all of his awesome therapists, and they support us and they support him, and we've noticed such a difference. He's walking, he's graduated feeding. Cheryl was able to give us so many good pointers. He's able to eat the great things that he can eat. We go to Abby, the nutritionist, and she makes sure that he can get the right vitamins and everything from the what Cheryl has suggested about how we feed him. And then Lisa, Sally, Samantha, they're just incredible. They've helped us so much. He's now, I can vacuum. He helps me vacuum. That has been handled on. We know how we use a compression vest. We've used hats to help him feel comfortable. We use compression in both PT and OT.
If you had to say to another family something that you've learned, what's something that you've learned as a family to family, what would you say?
I'd say stick to it. It is so hard as a family to try to work the schedule, but it is so worth it. My son would not be where he is today if it wasn't for all these services, and we do make sacrifices, and they are hard sacrifices, but in time, he's he's amazing now, but in time, he's just going to grow up and just be awesome.
Yes, you're pretty awesome. So you can really see that the determination of the families is the bottom line for what we depend on for making their dreams come true and having them reach their full potential. And kids really are amazing. So I'm sad to say I don't see Gabriella and her family here, but this is quite a story. Gabriella is our third story. We're trying to give you kind of a cross-section of the types of families that we see every day. We serve how many, Tara? How many families do you think we serve a year? Over 1,200 visits every month. So, and with each child comes an entourage of people that are very worried about them. And in most of the cases, we have a case manager who's our social worker, who I'll introduce now. Come on up, Mary Jo. Come up for a second. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to just sort of give an overview of what case management does.
Thanks.
Because this was a case that you worked on, so just give an idea about what that is.
So when I started at Spaulding, I don't think people understood what a joy it is for me to be part of the team.
So we rely on case management because we have families that are struggling to find the finances to put gas in the car and to come. and to find resources close to their home, find babysitting, childcare, therapy, yeah, and prescriptions, sometimes food, our family housing.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, so the other thing that we rely on her for, I hate to talk
That's okay.
is when a family has a new diagnosis of autism or some kind of a disease that they didn't expect. There's a lot of services that Boston hospitals or even the therapist here will say, you need 12 services. Well, that's a piece of the pie, and maybe you could explain how you...
Again, I think the team utilize my services because they're not social workers, they're therapists, and they see the families struggle. And they say, Mary Jo, we got somebody crying in the front room, could you come and help out? And that's fine, that's what I'm there for. And again, it is a complete joy for me because those are my gifts, those are my tools. I don't put my hands on people, I don't do needles, I don't do pills. I say, tell me what's going on, I've got chocolate, and we'll go forward.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yep. And so sometimes it's a matter of prioritizing, because you can't possibly go to 12 visits a week. So we try, Mary Jo helps a lot. So this is, our next story is about Gabriella. She's 8 years old now, but last year in the summer, she was hit by a car on her bicycle. She was wearing a helmet, but she sustained quite a serious head injury. She also had pelvic fractures, right femur leg fracture. She had very severe road burn, which took a very long time to heal. That was so very painful for her. And the Mashpee Police Department, which is represented here by two gentlemen that I'll introduce in a bit, they really responded quickly and saved her life in the street. And she was med-flighted to MGH. She was in a coma for over a week, and she received great inpatient services at Mass General. Then she was transferred to Spaulding in Boston for inpatient rehabilitation. This is a picture of Gabriella when she was in a coma. Her grandmother provided these pictures to us, and they really didn't think she was going to live. She had pressure on her brain and a skull fracture. So this was her first day out of bed, being very confused, having a feeding tube in her nose. And she had quite a care team, beginning with the Mashpee Police and Fire and Rescue. And then, as I said, she had her hospital course. Her last stop was at our center in Sandwich, and she received Mary Jo's support for her family, for case management, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy, and equipment clinic. I would just like to invite her care team to come up and say a couple words about what she did.
I guess I'll start. In case you forgot, my name is Samantha, and I'm a physical therapist. So Gabby first came to us, it was Friday, August 26th, 27th of last year. I remember I had a wedding that day. So I met her on Monday, and I kind of asked these girls, like, okay, Gabby, what's up with Gabby? They kind of gave me some information about her. She came to us, in the most significant in the physical therapy world is that she had a very significant right femur fracture that she required surgical intervention with plates and screws. So because of that, she had a weight-bearing precaution of she couldn't put more than 50% of her weight through her right leg. So as an 8-year-old, 7-year-old kid, how do I now learn how to use crutches? Only walking, putting less than 50% of my weight through my right leg. What do you mean I can't just walk up and go to the bathroom by myself? And how am I supposed to get to my bedroom and my playroom on the 3rd floor of my grandmother's house? So grandmother was very lucky to make up a first floor bedroom, in the living room. We made the bed for her so that Gabby had the ability to stay on the first floor. That's one of the big things. How is she going to be safe in her home? How is she going to be safe on her stairs? So we did a lot of parental education for the grandmother, which also Spaulding did in Boston. And then from there, she had a very significant wound, surgical wound, scar wounds, and then a skull wound as well. OT and Katie worked a lot on that, but really making sure that she recovered nicely. As she attended more doctor's appointments, it was, okay, now we can put more weight through her leg. Okay, we don't need to use the crutches anymore. Okay, now she's fully cleared, but she's really weak, and she wants to run and jump and play with her friends on the playground, because what do you mean I broke my leg? That was so long ago. That was in the summer. It's almost Christmas. So really working with her to do a lot of skipping, hopping, getting her nice and strong. In physical therapy, we use the hallways a lot. So everyone saw us in the hallways. We made lots of friends in the hallways as we were doing our skipping and our running.
video of that.
Oh, yay. Let's cue that video now. Can we do that? You can actually still see on the right side of her head that she hadn't recovered and going to her camera. You play Candyland? Telling a kid to just go up and down the hall is not fun. Telling a kid to play Candyland and you have to go all the way over there to get your piece, and the board is all the way over there, is a lot more enticing. Kids will go home and say, Mommy, I played Candyland today. And they're like, you didn't do physical therapy? Yes, they did physical therapy. They just played puzzles and Candyland and cards and Connect Four, and they don't realize that they just walked up and down the hall 50 times. So I'm proud to announce that Gabby was discharged from us, walking, running, no restrictions. The only restrictions were based on her traumatic brain injury in terms of no contact sports for a year. I also say that I want to see you, but I don't want to see you here. I haven't seen Gabby, That's a good thing in my role, that she's doing really strong and doesn't need my services anymore. And that's what we hope for all of our kids, is that they can live without therapeutic intervention, because she was typically developing. She was really smart. She was a straight A student, and that's really what I'm here to get her back to. And I know that Kathleen will talk a little bit of the cognitive impairment that she had after her injury as well.
Thank you.
Next is her speech therapist.
It's a very good transition. So I promise I'm not the only speech therapist. We have wonderful So Gabby came to me, and I have to say that she did amazing at the inpatient facility in Boston. She came in with 1 week of a coma, and she came in, she was doing great. So I wanted to look at more of the higher level things. So can she do executive functions? Like, can she organize? Can she plan? Can she sequence something? And then also things like, her memory, working memory, can she follow multi-step direction while remembering all the little innuendos of them? Also things like attention, can she concentrate to do, say, in a classroom and follow those directions? So I did a lot of testing with her and found that her main deficits were like age-appropriate comprehension, so reading paragraphs in class. So we worked on a lot of strategies for answering WH questions, which is part of the core curriculum, which I figured out. And then we also worked on processing speed. So since she had a traumatic brain injury, a lot of the times what happens is you have a delayed processing speed. So I would ask her a question, there would be a wait time, and then she would answer it. But since she was 8 and your brain is still developing so rapidly, your brain develops in the frontal lobe until you're like late adolescence, but I'll leave that to Dr. Johnson. By the end, when she was discharged, she was doing great. She could follow multi-step direction. She could sequence things like functional activities, like how to get to the 3rd floor bedroom when she actually could run, stuff like that. So she did amazing, and now I think Cheryl said that she's an honors student.
Yep, she is. It's doing good.
I will tell you
So
about her.
we actually have a video of you, so we can cue that one.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, there's learning to comb hair.
So I'm Gabby's occupational therapist. My name is Katie. So I kind of had the pleasure of incorporating both the physical therapy and speech and language, just because occupational therapy deals with everyday activities. So some of the same things for that.
You can turn the sound off. Yeah. So you can talk over that.
Okay, so like Kathleen was saying, a lot of the things that she was looking at was dealing with multi-step tasks, attention, and kind of the higher level executive functioning and organization process. So kind of translating that over from the cognitive piece and language piece to a motor piece. Can she do a multi-step activity, including a lot of balance challenging, throwing at a static target? Does she have the cognitive abilities to kind of keep up with her peers? And something else I also wanted to incorporate that's an ADL for her is a lot of leisure. She had been missing that for 2 months and in a coma for a week, so I wanted to make sure that she was able to integrate back into life with her peers, being able to keep up with her peers on the playground, wanting to get back into swinging and moving. And then also a unique component that I worked on with Gabby about was more activities of daily living, just hygiene. When she, like Kathleen said, when she came to us, she had a very great team at Spaulding, Boston. They dealt with a lot of her bathing and showering needs, her transfer needs. When grandma came and her family came, they felt really comfortable in those areas. One thing that they didn't kind of account for was Gabby had a lot of incisions on her head and then incisions on her legs. So I incorporated some scar massage and scar management just to make sure that our range of motion was appropriate. And also her hair. Her hair got a little bit challenging just because of the weeping and all the incisions. It was hard to brush her hair, and that kind of became something that she was a little bit self-conscious of. So we worked together to kind of problem solve how to best brush her hair, how she could kind of communicate to her peers what happened, and why her hair was like that. But yeah, like we said, Spaulding, Boston did a great job kind of setting us up for success, and we all worked as a team to kind of get her to be able to do the higher level, maybe finishing touches on the things that they had already done. So yeah, she's an honor level student now, and she's walking, she's playing, and she's back to her typical self.
Here's a great picture of Gabby Yellow with the Mashpee Police, and they're quite proud. In fact, I'd like to just have our two representatives come up and introduce themselves and just explain about what this picture's all about. Watch your step.
Good afternoon. My name is Scott Carl. I'm the Chief of Police in Mashpee. Thank you so much for having us here today. It's not often we get to see the end result and some of these great success stories. I got to tell you, it's great to see. We met Gabby last year on July 20th, and it was a very difficult day for all of us. I have an 8-year-old. So to respond to something like that can be very difficult. It was difficult for some of our officers. Sergeant Palermo was one of those who has watched this through since that day. He received a life-saving award that day from the Massachusetts Criminal Justice Training Council, and he coordinated a drive to get her a new bike, to get her a new helmet, to make sure she was there with us for our National Night Out. And you know, we really built on her strength, and the better she got, the better we got as an organization as well. So it's a tremendous success story. I congratulate you, and I thank you again for having us here today. Sergeant Palermo.
Yeah, I was the first responding officer to the scene that day, and yeah, she had a really bad head injury, and from that point, I mean, there was a lot of other people there. The Mashpee Fire Department saving her life, the med flight that responded, just the people that stopped their cars when that happened to see what she was a 7-year-old little girl, you know, laying in the street. So, you know, I've seen a lot of things in my life as a police officer. To see her, I had 2 daughters, and it really struck me pretty hard. So, the chief's blessing, decided that we were going to show Gabby and her family that for Mashpee, you know, we were going to follow it through and go up there and visit her. So we sort of went to the hospital the next couple of days up in Boston. And obviously, she was in a bed, in a coma, hooked up to a bunch of machines, and it was a sad thing to see. So we decided to follow through a little longer, and I think we went to see her in Charlestown, at Spaulding. And it was just that day that she had come out of it, and that had the feeding tube had come out of her and all that stuff, and she was smiling. So that was something really awesome to see. So what we tried to do is keep in touch with the family. And when she was coming home, we decided that we wanted to give her something, something big for Mashpee. And it was between the police, the fire, the citizens, everybody involved in Mashpee. What we did was we met her, she coming off of exit 2, and we gave her a police and fire escort. And it was pretty big, all the way to the Children's Museum in Mashpee. And we had the sirens going and everything, and to see the smile on her face. I mean, she doesn't say much, she doesn't. She's real shy, but she smiles. Just to see her smile, that was incredible. So we presented her with a bike that day, and again, smile out of her face. It was incredible. And I said to her family, to her grandmother, someday I'm going to see her. I mean, my daughter's 27 and 17. One's going to graduate from high school this year. But I want to see Gabby graduate from high school, and that's going to be something to me. So, but again, I just want to say, there was a lot of people involved with Gabby that day. I mean, a lot of heroes. And I think the fire guys, the paramedics, the EMTs, they saved her life. So that's it.
So, this is the conclusion of our talk, this video right now, and it really kind of sums everything up. And I want to thank the Mashpee Police for coming. I want to thank the Spaulding rehabilitation team that's amazing. I'm glad to be a part of it, and I'm really glad to celebrate with you all because you're all incredible. And after the conclusion of this little video, I would like to have maybe the rehabilitation team come up, and if anybody has any questions for them, you're welcome. And don't forget, there's food in the back, coffee and tea. So enjoy.
Mahoney, and this is my granddaughter, Gabriella Mahoney. Gabby was the little girl that got hit last year, July 20th, on Route 130 on her bicycle. Gabby was airlifted to Mass General, and then from there she was brought to the Spaulding in Charlestown, and then brought to the Spaulding in Sandwich. And I just need to let everybody know that all the counselors and the therapists at both Spaulding and Charlestown and in Sandwich are amazing, amazing people. What they have done with Gabby and how far she's come, as you can see her now, I can't say enough about everybody there, all the therapists, the speech, the physical, but Gabby is doing very, very well now, and this is her. This is Gabby. And this was Gabby. All the police officers came together and gave her a big homecoming. She was treated like the president when we got off the highway all the way into Mashpee to the Children's Museum. They gave us an escort. The fire, the first responders, Mashpee Police Department. They also bought Gabby a brand new bike for her because hers got hit and was ruined. And this is Gabby with Sergeant Palermo and Dave putting a crown on her. And this is Gabby reading her cards. I also just want to say that a big shout out to the Mashpee Police, the first responders, and the fire department. They were all amazing and how quick they were to get Gabby off. She was airlifted from the police station to Mass General and was there in a coma for a week and then sent to the Spaulding. And she's doing amazing. This is my gal.
So, I also want to thank our families who volunteered to share their stories, and there's many, many more, but this, I hope, gave you a look inside of why we think children are miraculous. So I would like to have all the therapists come up, and maybe if anyone has any questions, you can ask questions. If not, you can just mingle and have a good time. Sorry. So, any questions or comments? How about questions for Christopher or Brody's family? You have a question?
Comment. It was wonderful to see how you guys really work as a team, taking care of the patient and the family. Oftentimes, you're a physical therapist, you're a speech therapist, you're a social worker. But you're really part of the team, and ultimately, you said you became part of the family. So it's just wonderful to see it that way.
So yes, we are a team, and it takes a lot of extra time to become a team. So that's one of the messages we want to get to people, is that it's not just a matter of the 45 minutes that you're with your patient, and it's the phone calls and the questions afterwards and the coordination of care with the specialists from off-Cape. And it's a lot of work, but we all really enjoy it. Any other comments or questions?
Christopher, what are you doing for sports right now?
I like doing sports as much as I can. I don't really have the time as much anymore.
I know, you're not like a job, you come and hang out here.
But I try and, we have basketball in our backyard, I like to do that. And if we do anything else, I like to try and throw around the football. Because if this whole thing didn't happen, I had 2 legs, I would 100% be doing sports as many as I could. Because it's a lot of fun. And I still do as many as I can.
Field trip basketball in January.
I'm gonna do it.
All right.
So the question was, what kind of sports do you like now? And but I just wanted to say, if somebody couldn't hear, that you really love basketball, you do anything and everything that you can physically. And have you been to the McGraw Center yet?
No.
Oh, so hopefully you can go play. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah. I just want to say, being at the front desk at the PE clinic, we see these kids every week, and we can see the progression of improvement. And there's just been so many wonderful things that have happened there that I'm really proud of.
We couldn't do it without you. Like I said, it's a big team.
I just want to say, even Robin, everybody at the front desk, Holly, Donna, everybody in Spaulding, they're like a huge support for me as well as Brody. So if I ever have any trouble or if there's anything that I need, I mean, they literally put their brains together and try to figure out what's going on with Brody and help me. And I mean, I couldn't be able to survive without them. So I appreciate each and every one of you. And Brody appreciates it too. He just doesn't know it.
Good. I think I saw a hand up. Dr. Bloom?
I was just going to say we, really appreciate all the hard work you do. As a pediatrician, we use all of the specialists. We get excited anytime a new specialist comes aboard. And, it saves our families from having to go, north, and that can be quite a trek. I also didn't mention, you got a great audiology program with Sandra.
Thank you for letting, yep,
for
that was on my note.
Speech, just things you can't hear, and, it's hard, it's not easy to test kids. She does a great job for us.
Right, so Sandra Reams is a wonderful pediatric and well-rounded audiologist, and we refer to her often. We wish we were in the same suite with her, because often it's hard to communicate, but yes, it's a wonderful resource that we have. Thank you for bringing that up.
We'll miss Dr. Gascon.
And we'll miss Dr. Gascon. Thank you, Dr. Bloom, for all your referrals. All right, so I think we'll end our evening, and thank you all for coming, and enjoy food. Please take some and